Corey, when you're talking about surprises around the NBA right now, it kind of has to begin with the Utah Jazz, winners of 18 of 19, 8 in a row, best record in the NBA. I mean, we knew they'd be good, but I don't think we knew they'd be this good. I guess the question becomes first, are they for real or is this a mirage?
No, this is no mirage. There's no mirages in Utah, and I'm telling you, they're for real. I do think last year we saw the rising stars of the NBA. Two came out of the bubble, right? That was the Jazz, and then their neighbors, the Nuggets in Denver. But the Nuggets have Jokic as an MVP candidate, and everyone thought, okay, maybe they're going to take the next step forward and kind of challenge the Clippers or challenge the Lakers for the West. And then out of nowhere, seemingly, Utah says, no, it's our turn. We're going to go ahead and take this. Donovan Mitchell is playing at a very high level. They have Sixth Man of the Year candidate Jordan Clarkson, who drops 40 points off the bench. He shot 8 for 13 the other night against the 76ers. This is a really good team. My only concern about them is depth, Kurt.
Yeah. Depth is a concern. I'll tell you, I think what's different for them is not only are you knew you'd get something out of Donovan Mitchell, and maybe he hasn't taken a leap forward. Rudy Gobert has been Defensive Player of the Year, everything again. But the real difference is they got the Mike Conley they thought they were getting last season. I mean, they've got Bogdanovich healthy too, but Mike Conley, they were counting on him to provide pick and roll with Gobert, to provide good defense on the other end. And he was just injured and not healthy and never got there. He has been that guy this year. He has been phenomenal. It's turned them into this contender. And I'll tell you, if you're them and you're looking at the situation the way the West lays out right now with injuries and everything else, you're thinking you can get the number 1 seed, which matters to Utah because now you're going to pin the Lakers and Clippers, hopefully, as the 2 and 3 seed, other side of the bracket. You only have to play one of them to get to the finals, not go through both of them. That's a big advantage. I legitimately think Western Conference Finals is a very good thing. I mean, it could really happen for them.
Yeah, the pathway is there. I think, like I said, the only concern I have for Utah is depth. I'm going to give you a stat. I'm not a stat guy, Kurt. You know that. I like the feel of the game. I'm old school, but here's a stat for you. So the Lakers, who are the gold standard, I think, as far as defending national world champions, and they look really, really good. They have 11 guys with at least 15 minutes played in at least 23 games, right? Utah only has 8. So, I mean, they're running their team like one of the old John Wooden teams in UCLA or like Coach K runs his teams in Duke. Only 8 guys get minutes. And in an uncertain year where you have either COVID restrictions or concerns or, anything could happen, resting guys as well, like trying to fight for that and vie for that 1 seed, that clear path. My question is, can you get it done with 8 guys when other teams have 11 in the chamber? So that's my only concern is depth.
I think it's a concern. During the playoffs, that matters a little less. And the other thing that worries me, I don't want to say worries, concerns me going to the playoffs, as much as I love Donovan Mitchell and as much as I love Rudy Gobert, they don't have that proven superstar. And what having LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant, or even going back to past champions and Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan and Larry Bird and whoever else you want to go with, those guys provide a margin for error. Your team can have some flaws and they can cover them up because they're that good. Your team somebody can have an off night. It doesn't matter because Kobe takes over or LeBron takes over. They don't have that. This is the true ensemble. They're going to need everybody every night. This team has to keep winning the way they're winning. And that sometimes gets hard in the playoffs.
It worked out for the Heat, though, last year. That kind of worked by committee, got into the finals. So, but, but it wasn't enough to beat the Lakers. So you're right there.
It's going to be a challenge. I don't think it can't happen. And the 2004, Pistons are probably the patron saints, right? Like, play good defense, have a bunch of guys who can do this. I think they can do it in Utah. I'm just like, it's going to be a harder path for them than it might be for the Lakers or Clippers, but it's doable. They're legitimate contenders.
Yeah, Kurt, right now, this is one of those scenarios where if you're Donovan Mitchell or you're Rudy Gobert, this is the time you etch your name and say, look, I'm a superstar. I'm bona fide. I can take this team. We're playing really well, and now we're going to go win a world championship. I am one of the guys, one of the best guys in the NBA. That's how you do it. That's how you become one of those top guys. But we do have our top guys list coming up. The All-Star weekend is going to happen. I should say All-Star Day. It seems like it's just one day. But All-Star is coming up. We have our picks. You and I agreed on most of them, but we have one that we just disagreed on. So here's the Eastern Conference. Our picks are Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. And then for that last one, I chose Kyrie Irving. You chose James Harden. Why?
First off, it's kind of a toss-up, right? Like, I really felt like you could have gone either way with this. I think what Harden's done in terms of sacrifice, and not just like dropping 38 points the other night when Kyrie and KD were on the bench, but his sacrifice in adjusting his game. He has taken over and become their point guard. He has become their facilitator and distributor, giving up, he's scoring 11 less points a game basically than last season, but he's done that to become the hub of their offense in a lot of ways. I mean, ultimately, Kevin Durant's their best player. I mean, he just is when they're all healthy. But for me, Harden's sacrifice and everything he's done, I'm willing to make him an East All-Star. In a way, by the way, I probably wouldn't put him in like the MVP conversation, because then I would count what he did in Houston. And like, that would matter to me. In an all-star setting where I'm just talking about who's the best in the East, I'm giving him the break. But if you told me, I don't have a problem at all with Kyrie Irving. Both of these guys are going to make the team, right? Like,
yeah, it's a no-brainer there. I think when you're leading the league in assists like James Harden is, and you're averaging, 20 plus points, it's very hard to argue with that. My idea was Kyrie Irving is one of the most creative and most brilliant basketball players I have ever seen. What he can do with the basketball is mind-blowing, and he's shown that artistry back on the court this year. He can just score any way. He can score at all three levels. He's unbelievable around the rim, one of the best finishers around the rim, and he has one of the best handles that I've seen in my lifetime. So for me, I think he's the best point guard.
In an all-star setting, he's going to be really maybe more entertaining too, right? Like in an all-star
yeah, for sure.
Which is a pure exhibition where nobody's playing defense. Kyrie's handles and skill become really fun to watch in a way that Harden's kind of old man at the Y game doesn't always necessarily translate.
Well, I don't know. James Harden is a lot of fun one-on-one, but yeah, Kyrie is like NBA Street Volume 2. Every move is an icebreaker, and James Harden just does stuff that doesn't make any sense. Like, he'll just drop 50, and then and just I don't know how he did it. But on the West, we have the same thing. We agree with most of them, but there's that one off. So our list for the Western Conference All-Star starting lineup is LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, Stephen Curry, and then you went Damian Lillard. I went Luka Doncic. Why'd you go for Dame?
He's been so clutch and so good for a Portland team that's playing surprisingly well and keeps winning games. They're climbing up in the Western Conference. And he's had to do this with CJ McCollum, who started so hot, out. Yusuf Nurkic, the anchor, in the middle, their third best player, out. He has had to take on an incredible load, and he's done it. They keep winning, and he remains the most clutch player in the NBA. Like every week in our power rankings, I'm like, oh, and let's put in a video of him winning a game with a 3 at the buzzer. Like, he does it weekly. Again, coin flip. You could easily have gone the other way with Luka, and I really debated that one. I punished Luka a little for the slow start of the season, I guess, but 6 of one, half dozen the other. Both of them deserve to be there easily, and I just leaned for Lillard.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice phrase. Beautiful phrasing there. Yeah, I mean, Dame is clutch. There's no question about it. He's playing extremely well. And shout out to CJ McCollum, by the way. I think he's one of my favorite players in the NBA, and he's balling right now as well for them. But for Luka, I mean, I'm a fan of just, if you're talking about stats and filling out a stat sheet, I mean, Luka, he goes to, a sub shop and orders everything on the, like everything. He gets every topping, every side. That's kind of what how he plays basketball. He'll say, yeah, I'll get 9 rebounds. Yeah, I'll be second in the entire league in assists, and I'll average 29 points and be 5th in scoring. He just fills up the stat sheet. And by the way, Kurt, here's a good stat for you too. He's 3rd in fantasy points in the entire NBA.
He's fantastic. Yeah, as a fantasy player, the way he rounds out the stat sheet is it's triple doubles almost every night. He's phenomenal. I will say, by the way, one other name that not on the guard line. I seriously considered Anthony Davis over Kawhi Leonard for a while. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Anthony Davis probably till after the All-Star break because of they're rightfully going to rest that calf strain and Achilles issue as long as they can because they need him for the playoffs. But that one was close to me too. I ended up going with Kawhi because, dude, if you watched him, he's just phenomenal this season. He has been the best Clipper by far. But I feel like I should at least mention Anthony Davis would have been in the mix too, he will be an all-star, and then they'll have to replace him with, but he deserves the nod.
Absolutely, he's been playing well. But those are our picks for the Eastern and Western Conference All-Stars. I can't wait to see the game. It should be great. But man, I went Luka, you went Dame. What can we say?
Yeah.
Agree to disagree there.
Exactly.